Hey guys, so today we have the pleasure of watching Mr. Sperm Donor in the VIP clan. Shout out to you guys. That's my Klaus Kellerman impression. He's using turbocharger, hardening, and rammer on his Synth X. Personally, I would not use hardening, especially in this type of matchup where it's tier 9s. Very little artillery, very little tank destroyers. But because you have an extra equipment slot now that they buffed the dispersion of the tank, it actually gives you kind of free reign to use whatever you want. So hardening is probably a personal preference for him for this tank. As you can see, he's making his way towards the 0 line. The Synth X will do very well on the 0 line because there's a lot of ridges that he could use his gun depression, which makes his turret better. When this tank is using its gun depression, the turret is actually playable. What I mean by that is that as soon as this tank uses the gun depression, the turret becomes well armored. As soon as it's on flat ground, it's going to get pendant in the turret a lot more easily. So he's peeking up in these trees here, trying to get some information on people crossing. As you can see, his V4 is already sending it because that's what V4 players do. They just hold W. But the rest of his team is slowly coming up behind him and pushing as well. They're all very confident because the V4 is so aggressive. And because he has this info of where the tanks are because the V4 is so aggressive, he's going to move up here and see if he could punish anyone taking shots at the V4. Luckily, his V4 ends up surviving this somehow, but he's now in a very good position to start taking advantage of these tanks because he can use this ridge as a hold down, only really peeking his turret against E100 or T54 E1, for example. This is showcasing, if you just take a look at the dispersion of the tank here, just how small it stays while he's moving around without a V-stab. So this happened when the buff came in the recent patch, where they changed the dispersion values on the move, which made the gun just very good. This is definitely one of the best medium tanks in the game right now, so if you do not have it, I would recommend getting it as soon as you can and trying it. But you see he's easily able to aim at the weak spots of the E100. And the heat shells on this tank do very well against tanks like the E100, the Mouse, or Type 5. And here he's able to actually just slowly bleed out the E100. His team is still behind him. He has lots of people. They have no one in base though. So if you take a look at the map, the middle road is completely lost because he has no one at base. So right now his team is split on two sides of the map. He needs to either win this flank quickly and rotate back to base, or win this flank quickly and push with the rest of his team to try and trap the enemy team between his two flanks. So as you can see here, he's trying to put as much damage into this E100 as he can. And luckily the other side of the map is holding and not getting pushed right now. So he does have time to actually keep slowly bleeding this side and eventually win it. As soon as that 1-2 line gets pushed, it's going to be trouble. The 430 is now alone, and the other tanks on this flank on the enemy team have backed up behind the rock. He can actually push right now. I would personally push right now, kill the 430. Because I have so many people behind me, I would feel very confident. The 283 on this team does peak, but there is a 4K that does get a shot off on him, so it's probably a good thing he waited until the 4K fired. But now knowing that the 4K fired, he's going to take this opportunity to push up. Looking for a shot in the T54 E1 there, but he's hiding behind the E100's dead body. So he loads Hesh rounds. The Hesh rounds on this tank are beautiful. Very good pen, very good damage. Puts 2 into the 4K, assumes he's about to reload, which is good. Backs up. Now he's trying to shoot the E1 without really peeking to the 4K. He ends up killing the 4K there, which is probably the better move. Just reduce that gun out of the game. He ends up getting the kill shot in the E1, and now he needs to make a choice. The Char and the G-Sword were spotted in his base. He could shoot this T10 or go instantly back. He has a shot in the T10, so he takes it. And now he makes a decision. He's a little torn here, I think, but he makes a decision to go back, which I think is a beautiful play. He comes around trying to look for a shot on maybe this UDES that was spotted, and then now decides to come back, which ends up costing him a shot. If he went straight back, he probably would have been fine. But because he hesitated a little bit, he ended up taking 1 shot of damage. But coming back to here, looking for a shot on the UDES, maybe to finish him off. Beautiful shot there. And now he's able to push back to the base without having to worry about the U that is being behind him. The G-Sword gets spotted on his right. He takes the shot here, aims, and shoots. As you can see, he didn't shoot until the G-Sword started backing up. As soon as the tank backs up, that's when you should shoot, because that's the best opportunity you have to actually hit the tank. Because the further back he gets underneath the ridge, the less of the tank you have to shoot at them, even though you're more aimed. Now he peeks his Char, he's a hull down. He actually gets bounced by the Centurion 7-1, so he knows he's back there. But he has enough HP, and this V4 is with him, that he could actually re-push this and be probably completely fine. The V4 ends up shooting the Char once. He tries to shoot him on the move and misses, but he keeps holding W because right now it's important to get close to them to be able to trade HP. He puts a shot into the Scent there, and the Scent ends up shooting at the V4 and missed. So now it's just easy cleanup with this V4 on his team. They end up cleaning up that there. Now they're going to go look for the G-Sword. And when he gets back up here and tanks get in render range, you're going to notice that the HP evens out a lot more, because the 1-2 line is dying on this team right now. Pretty much, he had to win the 0 line flank before the enemy team had their chance to win the 1-2 line. If there's any disparity in that, say the 1-2 line wins 2 minutes earlier than the 0 line, then they're able to get behind them. Now that your team is split on the 0 line, you're even weaker in a push situation to clear out the south, and now you're trapped. And that's what his team is doing to the enemy team right now. They're trapping them in between 2 different flanks. Now if the enemy team, most people, after an engagement's won on the flank and nothing's really happening, they either make the decision to go back to base or keep pushing. A lot of the time, going back to base is the correct answer, but their team actually just probably should have held where they were. But as we were going to see, that doesn't happen. But his team is set up very good now. They have map control. Their RD is relocated to the K0 corner, which is beautiful. Actually good move by the RD player. That could show you what happens when, you know, the RD player is paying attention on your team and your base is essentially defenseless at the start of the game. He actually looked at the map. Shocking, I know, for an RD player, but Mr. Donor is about to make a move here in the open. As a little bit weird rotation crossing the open, especially because he wasn't really sure how many tanks were in south. I would have gone back up the road and then around, which would have taken a little bit longer, but effectively done the same thing. Now he's able to come here on the ridge and play against the mouse. His team is coming behind them, but they are quite a bit away. The G-Sword is going to end up putting a shot into him here, and he puts one right into him as a return. And now he's pretty much playing against 2 tanks. He's got the V4 coming up, who's still holding W like he doesn't care. V4 bounces the mouse, but he ends up dying. So now he could put probably 1 or 2 shots into this mouse before he's reloaded. The G-Sword is going to peek and push past him for some reason. And so he intuitions some HE and puts it right into the back of the G-Sword there. It's beautiful. Now this mouse is pretty much an easy kill because the amount of HP he has, and he's got gun depression, and there's a friendly tank behind him, making this mouse have to angle for 2 tanks, which is very hard to do. Pretty much just an easy cleanup here. He's going to put him right in the turret. The heat rounds are beautiful on this tank. Now the game is still very close. The E1 did end up dying behind him, but the RD ended up picking the I7. So now it's him and the Striv against the 57. The 57 drives in the open against the Striv, which is a weird play. But as you can see here, it just allows Donor to come around the corner. He's going to get a couple easy shots into him and finish the game. Tries to ram him here, but the Striv ends up getting the final shot. So here's the after battle results. As you can see, he managed to do 10,409 damage total with 5 kills. Managed to get a high caliber and an ace tanker, as well as the win in that game. Here's the team panels, and he lost 56,000 credits that game because he was shooting a lot of heat rounds to the E100. But if you guys have replays that you want me to look over on stream, please send them to me on Discord. My Discord will be in the description below. But that's it. Peace, guys.